Editing YouTube videos doesn't have to take hours, and in fact, I can show you how you can cut your time in half and not lose any quality. Most creators think that fast editing results in sloppy videos and that you have to be up all night tweaking and adding details to make your videos pop. But the secret isn't editing longer, it's actually using the right system to edit smarter. I've refined my editing over 10 plus years of making videos, and in this video today, I'm gonna share 3 simple steps to help you edit your videos 2 times faster. All right, so let's start with step 1, and that's the actual process of editing your footage. And the first step is fast editing workflow. You got to have a workflow that works quickly for you. So you want to edit faster by working in layers and not doing everything at once. So layering just means there's different depths to the attention to detail that you're going to have as you edit. You don't want to go into it and just kind of sporadically work on cutting this and adding text here and that kind of stuff. You got to work in layers. So you start with the top layer. And that's the first thing you do, which is start with a rough cut. So trim everything in one pass. So typically what I do is I take my host footage is what I call it, or your A-roll or whatever, it's you on screen or whoever you're recording. And I lay that out on the timeline and I just start cutting. So I start cutting all the silences out. I make sure I'm getting the right takes that I want to keep. And I just start doing a rough cut, just quickly going through the timeline and cutting all that stuff out and shortening it up. And that's basically the first step you're doing. You don't want to do it all the way through. Just get rid of everything you don't need and create that rough cut in one pass. Don't do anything else while you're doing that. So the next thing is to use keyboard shortcuts and editing presets to speed up your workflow. That's the second thing that'll help you edit faster. And keyboard shortcuts, it just depends on what software you're in. I use DaVinci Resolve for one because it's free and there is a studio version you can have as well. It's very powerful and it has more professional features that I want, but also it'll have all the features and the things that you need. If you're a beginner, you can pick that up for free, download it and start learning it. And that software you can actually create, or you can import shortcuts from other editors like Final Cut or Premiere or whatever. It'll actually import the same presets or the same shortcuts there, but you obviously can customize your shortcuts. So I would suggest looking into how to use shortcuts to make your editing a little bit faster, and then also editing presets. So that's something like if you have specific graphics or things that you're going to add or titles or that kind of stuff, having those presets already built where you don't have to make it every time, that's going to help speed up your workflow. Another thing is we talked about working in layers. For this is, like I said, I lay out my timeline, my A-roll, the dialogue, if you will, edit it first. Then I go into B-roll. I don't go to effects or text or anything, any graphics. I go straight to B-roll. What B-roll do I need in the video? What would complement what I'm saying? And I'll go grab those B-roll shots or put them on the timeline, get them all set up and ready to go so that it's cut together with A-roll. So edit the A-roll first, that's the first layer, the B-roll is the second layer, and then move on to music and effects. So the goal here is to avoid perfectionism early on. You don't want to get stuck in that loop and that trap, and you want to focus on assembling quickly. So that's the goal of the fast editing workflow. You want to go through this quickly. You want to be able to make the cuts as fast as you can and not really stick to that perfectionism. You don't want to get into that mental loop where you can't move on. So that would be the goal. Pro tip here, treat your first edit like a first draft. So structure first and then polish later. So it's the same thing with writing an email or any other paper or whatever else you'd be working on. Treat editing like the first draft, especially when you jump in there and the first thing. That brings us to the second step here, and that is the pre-editing setup. We talked about editing and just how that is, but before you even get to editing, you need to have things set up and already organized. The key to fast editing is start organized. That's what you want to do. You don't want everything just cluttered and laying around and in places you don't know. You want everything organized. The first thing to do is to use a project template with preset bins and sequences. So basically what that means is you just have a template preset or project preset template. I open up a project and I make a whole file folder structure in the project with bins, and so like, I have the A roll, I have B roll, I have screen stuff from screencasting, or I'm using slides or that kind of stuff. I have where I put raw footage, raw audio, music, sound effects, all these things. They're all in bins that are already preset in there. I bring in all the different sound effects. I bring in all the, graphics and things that I reuse. That's all already in that project. So when I start a new project, I open it up and it already has pre-set up bins and sequences. That is a huge helper when you're starting off and you're starting new projects as fast as you can. You don't want to go through the 30 minutes of structuring your project. It should already be done. So use project templates. The second thing in step number 2 is to set up auto import folders so clips are organized instantly. So this kind of goes hand in hand with the project template. In the folders or the bins inside of your project, make sure that all the things that you're going to reuse, for instance, I have sound effects, I have some graphic elements, things that I'm going to put on screen or whatever. I want to maybe use those at any given moment in any given video. In the project template, I have those already imported. When I open the project, it already knows on my hard drive where that's at, and it already brings it in. So I don't have to import all that stuff. The only thing I import is my A roll. If I have, specific B roll, music and things for that video alone, I import those, and then I'm off and running and I can start editing. The third thing in step 2 is to name files correctly before importing. You wouldn't think that this is a huge deal. If it's a smaller project, it doesn't make a big difference, but I love to organize with file names as well. So make sure you aren't using untitled _1 or just random names. Make sure you name your files, your footage, and clips and all that, and put them in the proper folders as well. All right, so the goal of this is to start editing without searching for clips everywhere and every time you do it. So that we've kind of talked about. You want to make sure everything's organized, it's all set up before you start editing. Why this works: most YouTubers waste time looking for assets, downloading other sound effects and other stuff that you could already have in a folder. The structured setup removes this friction. So that's why you want to do this. So this brings me to the third and final step of this process. And that's step number 3. And that is to quick polish and then export. So we already talked about doing the editing and rough cut and that kind of stuff, doing that first. We obviously, before you even start editing, you want to have things organized. But then step 3 is to quick polish and export. So make your video look and sound pro in less time. That is what this is all about. And the first thing to do is use color correction presets. Don't waste time manually grading each clip. Have presets made. I myself have one preset that I have fine-tuned, and it's taken a while to get there, but I fine-tuned my own LUT as well as the entire preset in Resolve, and I just import that. It's already a part of the folders that I have, the structure that it's already there. It's already organized. So when I open it up and I drop my footage on the timeline, I drag that over it, and it's done. It's good to go, other than maybe some tiny tweaks to exposure or things like that, but the look is there. I do nothing else with that. It's already pre-made. It's already there. You need to do that. Don't try to color grade every single time. 1, it's going to waste time, but 2, it's not going to be consistent. So make yourself a preset, download a preset, do something so that you don't have to do that every time. Also, batch process audio. In today's world, you don't have to do as much manual labor on audio as you used to. In Resolve, there are effects for removing background noise, leveling your audio. You can use the audio processor to add compression and EQ and other stuff to your voice. I have all that already done. It's already batch processed. 1, I'm using the AI kind of features and the effects on the audio to clean it up and to remove background noise. And then 2, I have in my template project all the EQ, all the processing, compression, all that stuff already set. So when I drop my footage in there, it already starts processing that audio that way, and I don't have to do anything with it. So you want to make sure that you have that set up as well. And then you want to use export with preset render settings. So Resolve does a good job of this. They have a whole bunch of presets you can use, but I've also created my own so that I can just load that preset. I know that that's what I want. It has the right compression I want. It makes sure that the color is going to be the same as what it is in the software. Basically, I don't have to do any manual adjusting of the settings as an export. It's all there from the get-go. The goal here is you want to get the professional results without spending hours tweaking all the settings and trying to redo and remake what you already did on the last video. So why does that work? Most edits take too long because creators tweak endlessly. So this isn't just about step 3. This is about the whole process, but you want to set limits and you want to trust that process. You don't want to just go on and on and on and try to be a perfectionist the whole time. You want to make those cuts, make those edits, polish it quickly because you've had everything set up, export, and then upload. So we've talked about the 3 steps that'll help speed up your editing workflow. It hopefully disproves the idea that moving fast or editing quickly results in a sloppy video. Hopefully this kind of removes that stigma and allows you to see that if you put the work in up front and you practice and you kind of have this system in place, you can start editing videos in half the time or maybe even quicker than what you're doing now. If you found this video helpful, I try to provide tips and thoughts and tutorials and things on how to create better videos here on YouTube, as well as build your business and be an authentic brand. So if that's something you're into, hit subscribe and stick around. And also I put together a free YouTube editing efficiency checklist. So if you want the step-by-step guide for that, to be able to check off things that you want to make sure that you've done in your videos, that link will be in the description as well as the pinned comment below. And if you want to speed up your editing and get more views on your videos, check out this video right here, or this video right here, sorry, where I break down real strategies that work, and they work for small channels. So until next time, guys, I'll see you in the next video.